What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the airport. Welcome back to a brand new video, man. We are here, we are back, and we have a jam-packed video for you guys. Listen, we have a lot to get through. You know, a lot happened over the weekend. I'm not talking about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl was fun. Shout out to the Chiefs for winning it, but we're here to talk about the Heat as always. And the Heat have been in a lot of news. A lot of stuff happened. You know, in the game against the Celtics the other night or the other day, because that was the afternoon game, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, a lot of stuff happened, so we're here to just talk about it, go through it. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, comment down below. You guys know what to do, all that good stuff. Let's get right into it, man. So basically, we have a lot to get through. Like I said, before I do want to get through like the actual injuries and what happened on the court with Bam and with Jaylen Brown and Duncan Robinson, all that stuff, I do want to say prayers up to Jimmy, prayers up to his family, close friends, loved ones. It's never easy to lose somebody, but you know, I'm not going to get into details or whatnot. You guys can look that up on your own, but prayers up to Jimmy. I hope he takes his time. I hope he takes as much time as he needs. I really hope he does, because it's not easy to cope with something like that. And yeah, I mean, all my best wishes are with him and his family, and I hope he does what is best for him. So of course, you know, we all feel the same way. So yeah, prayers up to Jimmy. What I didn't like was when the injury report came out and it said that he was ruled out for personal reasons. You had Celtics fans saying, oh, he's ducking this and that. Bro, you never know what's happening, bro, in somebody's life. You can't be saying all that stuff. Like, that's not even funny. So then the news came out and you guys look like idiots by saying all that stuff. So classless Celtics fans as usual. But yeah, prayers up to Jimmy as always. And I hope he's straight. I hope his family's straight, and I hope he comes back whenever he's ready. And I hope he doesn't rush it. So let's get into what happened on the court. Let's get into the injuries. Obviously, without Jimmy, we were a little bit shorthanded against Boston. I did like our fight. We stayed in the game, man. We made it a very competitive game, and I did like that about us. But you know, we had a lot of things go against us in that game. A lot. You know, it was a very, very unlucky game for this team. I don't want to really put things down to luck, but a lot of stuff just didn't go our way, you know, especially when you're talking about on the court injuries. And the first one was Josh Richardson. He got tangled up with, I think, Tatum when he was trying to fight for a loose ball, or there was a rebound and he was trying to go get the ball, and his arm got yanked or tangled up with somebody. I don't want to say it was a dirty play, because I watched it back a couple times. It was very, very like fast. There was a lot of bodies and a lot of people like around that ball. So I don't really know what exactly happened, but from what I saw, I don't think anybody was trying to hurt anybody on that play. We'll get to the dirty play later, but his arm got tangled up, and I think, you know, he dislocated it. He said his shoulder popped back out, popped back in. So usually when that type of stuff happens, it's a little bit of like a freak accident or freak incident, but he is out for at least 2 weeks. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And I don't want people thinking that this means he's going to be back in 2 weeks, because that's not the case at all. This means that he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So they're going to see what his progress is looking like in 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, they're going to see what the best course is. Now, the Heat always like to take their time with injuries. They don't like to rush anybody back, which I appreciate. You know, protect the players from themselves, protect the players' bodies. And that's the main priority. So, yeah, Josh Richardson is out at least for 2 weeks, but I'm expecting 3 weeks, because, you know, the 2 weeks is just the reevaluation part. That doesn't mean he's going to be back on the court in 2 weeks. He just has to do all the ramping up and the getting, you know, contact practices and all that in. So I'm expecting him to be out for at least 3 weeks, close to a month. Like 2 to 4 weeks is what I'm assuming. I don't think it's going to be more than a month, but I think it's definitely going to be a little bit more than 2 weeks for sure. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't have any sources or anything on that, but it's literally just what my, you know, opinion is. And then the second injury was when Rozier got hurt, and that was when he was trying to go up and go for a layup, and he got fouled, and he just landed so bad on his knee. And when I saw that play, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I was like, shoot, this season might be over. And I was like praying that it wasn't, because I was like, that looks bad. That looked really bad. And he didn't even shoot the free throws, like, which means that it was like terrible. So listen, Rozier, like, we were all praying for him to make sure that it wasn't a season-ending injury, and thank God it was not, because we got the news that it was a week-to-week knee sprain, and that was amazing news to hear. Obviously, you know, you still don't want anybody to sprain their knee right now, but we dodged a bullet with that, and he dodged a bullet, because that was very close to being something else, and that could have been a potential season-ending injury. And I was hoping that did not happen, and thankfully it did not. Thankfully it did not happen. So that is good news. That is good news, because it's week to week. Again, week to week does not mean he's going to be back in 1 week. There's no timetable definitively by saying how many weeks this week to week thing is going to be. I expect them to, again, be slow with this, take their time with this. I don't think they're gonna rush him back, because week to week could be 3 weeks or it could be 6 weeks. Like, we don't know. So take his time. I want him to take his time. I don't want him to rush back on the court. If he's ready by the playoffs, that's really all I'm hoping for. You know, I'm not expecting him anything crazy. I'm not expecting him to be back in a couple of weeks, but if he is, that's great. I just hope he's back when he's fully healed. I don't want him to be back at 70% or 80%. I want to be back at 100%. So I think the Heat will be smart with this, as they usually are with injuries. So yeah, I think he will be back. I don't know, whenever they decide that his knee is good enough to be on the court again. So thankfully it wasn't like, oh, Rozier tore his ACL and it was a season. No, it wasn't that. So we're happy about that. But yeah, you still don't want to see anybody get hurt, but the fact that it's week to week and the fact that it's not a season-ending injury is good. So that is the injury news, injury reports. We'll get to what the Heat have to do and what I think they should do to, you know, make up for these injuries. Coming to the last thing I want to talk about on the game, Duncan Robinson, Jaylen Brown. I think Duncan was guarding Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had his arm locked up, and Duncan was just putting his arms up, and Jaylen Brown wanted to, for some reason, free his arm when he was the one who locked Duncan Robinson up initially, and he flung Duncan Robinson and almost damn near dislocated his shoulder too. So I don't know what Jaylen Brown was thinking. From all my years of seeing Jaylen Brown play, back to Cal, from that to now, I never felt like he was a dirty player, but this definitely changed my perception of him, because I was like, bro, what in the world was he thinking? And you see Celtics fans on social media trying to defend this guy. Bro, you can't defend what he did. This dude had his arm tangled up with Duncan Robinson. He's the one who locked his arm into Duncan. Duncan wasn't trying to lock his arm into Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was the one who locked his arm into Duncan's arm. After he locked his arm into Duncan's arm, Duncan was just putting his hands up because he was like, bro, I'm not trying to get tangled up and get a foul call, but he still got the foul call on him anyway. First of all, that's an offensive foul, so I don't know what the refs were thinking giving Duncan the foul on that. After that, when Jaylen was the one who initiated that whole locking of arms, he tried to get his arm free by flinging Duncan Robinson to the ground. I don't know what went through his head. I don't know what was going on in Jaylen Brown's mind, but that is a completely dirty play. And then, like Duncan said, that can mess people's careers up. That can end people's seasons. We have a guy in our locker room, Kevin Love, who literally had that same thing happen to him in the playoffs, and he had to miss the entirety of the playoffs in 2015. That is not light, bro. You can't just be flinging around people's arms like that, bro. That you can do serious damage to somebody's body, and thankfully Duncan was fine. But bro, that was crazy. And I definitely thought that definitely wasn't just a flagrant one. I thought that should have been a flagrant 2, because bro, he was literally trying to hurt that man. So I don't know about that, but it was just and then Jaylen Brown after the game saying, I bet he won't do it again. Bro, what did he do? You were the one who initiated the contact, and then after that you literally flung him to the ground. And when did these Celtics players start getting so confident in the media, bro, about, oh, I bet he won't do it again? And you know, Jaylen Brown was talking big, and I've never seen him talk like that. And that, you know what that means to me? That means that the Celtics team is not getting punked by this Heat team anymore. That's a problem. Because usually last year, if that was last year in the playoffs, Jaylen Brown would have never said something like that. I remember when they asked him about Grant Williams, and he was like, did Grant Williams poke the bear? He was like, no, next question, no comment, or something like that. Now now all of a sudden he wants to talk big. That's more about us than them, to be honest. And they've gained some irrational confidence, I guess the Celtics have, because they've been the best team in the East this season. But bro, that just means we lack toughness on this team. Because if this was the Miami Heat team last year, they wouldn't have said anything like that. I guarantee you. So the fact that they're out here talking big in the media when they've never have done against the Heat, and the amount of times I've seen them play each other, I've never seen the Celtics been like talking down about any Heat players, because they know that the Heat will punk them. But for some reason this year, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the year that UD leaves, the team's toughness is not as tough as it used to be. We're missing that enforcer. Even after the play. Bam. What is Bam doing? Like, just standing there? I don't know. I understand he doesn't want to get thrown out. And I do want to come to Bam's defense on this one part, and that's it, because I think he was bogus for what he did post-game. But I do want to say this one thing about Bam. He's not UD. He's not a rah-rah, like, I'm going to fight you. No, he's not that type of guy. You know, he's a guy who's going to lead by example. He's not going to lead by his voice. You know what I'm saying? He's not a vocal leader. He's a lead by example type of guy. And when you have a guy like that on your team, which is a good thing, you know, we had guys who have been lead by example guys. Like, I don't think Kawhi Leonard is a vocal leader. I think he's a guy who leads by example. So I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But the thing is, when you're Bam, and if you lead by example, that's fine. But I don't like how at the end of the game, after the Celtics literally try to injure your teammate, you go up to Tatum and start laughing with him. I understand that's your boy, and I don't want Bam and Tatum to be enemies. I don't want Bam to be enemies with anybody. I don't think Bam should be like, oh, I'm holding grudges against everybody in the league. No, because one of the biggest things that I think we like about Bam is that he has that close connection with some of these guys, these star players. When he goes to All-Star Weekend, when he plays for Team USA, he builds a connection with these guys. So when these guys are disgruntled, or when they request trades, or when they're free agents, you can recruit them to this team. And that's what happened with Dame. Obviously that didn't work out because of the front office, but Dame wanted to come here, and one of the main reasons was because of Bam. So I don't want Bam to ever lose that part of him, and I don't want him to be something that he's not. But bro, when it's between those lines, when you're on that floor, and when something like that happens, I do not like how he's after the game just laughing and smiling with the opposition team, especially when it was a playoff type atmosphere, when there was bad blood, scuffles, this, that happening on the court. Bro, if you want to joke it up with Tatum, do that off the court, bro. Shoot him a text or something like that. Like, you don't have to do that on the court. There's cameras there. That's a bad look for you. You can't do that on the court, Bam. You can't. I'm not saying you should not be boys with Tatum or Mitchell or whoever he's boys with, but just on the court, when you're between those lines, if it's just something like a normal game and like nothing happens and it's just basketball being played and there's no pushing or shoving and there's no there's none of what happened in the other night. If it's just a normal clean game and nothing happens, then sure, I understand. But when something like that happens, when Jaylen Brown is literally trying to rip Duncan Robinson's arm off, and you're literally after the game, 1 quarter later, just hugging it up with the opposition and with Tatum and with Brown and everyone, bro, that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all. So I hope he knows not to do that. He probably still will do that. It's not my place to be like, Bam, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. But I'm just saying, as a fan, it wasn't good to see, because, you know, that just means that they literally just try to injure somebody and you're out here joking around with them after the game. That's not cool at all. You gotta have that. You know, we pride ourselves on being a tough team, and right now we just don't have that many enforcers on this team. And I didn't even see anybody on the court step up to Jaylen Brown. You don't have to get yourself tossed out. You don't have to start throwing punches at him. But bro, just step up, be like, what are you doing? Markieff Morris probably didn't play that many minutes on this team, but Markieff Morris went and pushed Nikola Jokic, and then obviously that was I'm not saying you got to go push somebody in the back like that, but you know what I'm talking about. Markieff Morris and PJ Tucker and the guys that we had would bring some type of enforcer type mentality and toughness to this team that we didn't have on the floor that other night. So we lack that on this team right now, especially without UD, especially without Jimmy, because Jimmy would have definitely checked him. And Jaylen Brown is Jimmy's boy. Jimmy has been tight with Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown stayed with Jimmy Butler and trained with him when he was coming into the league, when he was out of Cal and when he was in the draft process. Jimmy had Jaylen Brown staying over at his crib. And I've never seen Jimmy and Jaylen Brown that do all that, you know, joking around and laughing around like Bam and Tatum. Between the lines, it's competitiveness. And I've never seen Jimmy do that with Jaylen Brown. I've never seen him do that with Embiid. Embiid is Jimmy's boy as well. So he should learn from Jimmy. And off the floor, you can be buddy-buddy with whoever you want to. But when you're in between those lines, when you're on the court, leave that to the side, bro. Because I've never seen Jimmy do that with D Rose. I've never seen Jimmy do that with Embiid. I've never seen Jimmy do that with anybody. And that's just in a clean game. When something especially happens like this, you definitely shouldn't be doing that. Definitely not. And that's the only thing I had to negatively say about Bam is I just don't like the look of him laughing around with the Celtics players after the game ends, bro. Come back to the locker room and be with your team, bro. Save all that stuff for after. So, listen, that's all I have to say about that game. I hope we play the Celtics in the playoffs, because I really don't think the Celtics are anything crazy. I think that they're a good team, and they're obviously better than they were last year. I think Porzingis addition is big for them, but I think they're beatable. So, yeah, last thing I want to say before I end the video, buyout market, obviously without point guards right now, we don't have Richardson, we don't have Rozier. A lot of things that we need to address, but I think the biggest thing is backcourt help. I just got a notification that Thaddeus Young got picked up by the Phoenix Suns. That was a very good pickup by them. I did want Thaddeus Young on this team, but I know a lot of people want Gallinari and people like that, but I think right now the guard position is the biggest need, and I do expect them to address that. 3 names that I think they should be looking at. I think DeLon Wright, Ish Smith, Corey Joseph are the 3 names I'm looking at. I don't want to look at Killian Hayes and James Bouknight right now. I don't think they're the profile that we need. They're too young and inexperienced, and you can't rely on them to save your season, or not save your season, but they're not veteran. You know, they're not veterans. They're young guys who are hungry and want to prove themselves, and we just don't have the type of space for that right now. Maybe in the offseason, if you want to bring them on and they can prove themselves in summer league or training camp or whatnot. But right now, we need some experience, and that's why the 3 names I mentioned bring experience, winning, championship pedigree. Ish Smith is a champion. I think Corey Joseph is a champion with Toronto, or he might not be. I don't know. Well, he's definitely a championship. He definitely won a championship with San Antonio. I don't know if he won with Toronto, but and then DeLon Wright. DeLon Wright won a championship with Toronto. I know he was on that 2019 team. So all 3 of them, I believe, are champions, and yeah, they are champions. They are winning players. They can bring the ball up the floor. They can control the offense. They're not, you know, amazing, but they're solid, and I just think that's all we're looking for at that position right now. We just need some stability, and they're just stable and solid, and they'll bring some of that to this team, and especially DeLon Wright defensively, and then Ish Smith and Corey Joseph offensively with their ability to shoot the ball. Ish Smith with the ability to finish at the rim. Corey Joseph with the shooting. They all bring a little, you know, bit of a different type of aspect to them, but in essence, they're all very stable, solid point guard options that I think we should be targeting, that can really, really help us stay afloat without Rozier, without Richardson, without Jimmy for the time being. So, listen, schedule's not going to get any easier. We play Milwaukee tonight. It's going to be a tough game. Milwaukee's on a back-to-back. They're on a back-to-back, so, you know, Milwaukee is a good team, but Milwaukee is definitely beatable. You know, I think they have a lot of holes on their team, but I think that shorthanded, we have to come out hungry. And the schedule until March 8th is tough. We only play, I think Detroit is the only team that's not in the play-in or the playoffs that we play. So we got to come with it. We got to stay hungry, tough. I'm expecting guys like Jaquez Martin to step up. Oh, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Really excited for the game tonight. After that, it's Philly, and after that, it's onto the All-Star break. If we can go 1-1 in these last two, I'll be happy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about all this, man. I'll see you later as always. Have a nice day. Peace.